Hello everyone, this is Poohead189, and today we're going to be discussing all you need to know about the afterlife in Tolkien's Legendarium, which of course includes The Lord of the Rings. Now, Tolkien's views of God, gods, and the afterlife mesh quite well with Christian theology in a lot of respects, without the hang-ups of denominations or various doctrinal dogma. You see, to give a brief explanation, in The Lord of the Rings, there is one divine entity that is considered the almighty god of the setting, being Eru Ilúvatar. Now, before even the beginning of time, he made spirits to live with and teach. These spirits are called the Ainur. To mortals, they are like gods, but they aren't really. They're more akin to angels, with vast amounts of power, but they are not true gods. Now, these Ainur are placed in two different groups. The ones chosen to govern the world, and are generally the firstborn, are the Valar. Usually they are the most powerful. Below them are the Maiar, which are spirits that tend to be a little less powerful and are followers of the Valar. Now, after the Valar sung Arda into existence by the urging of the one true god Eru, and Arda is essentially Earth, there were two great land masses, Middle-earth and Valinor, otherwise known as the Undying Lands. Eru then told the Valar of the coming of his children. These are elves and men, and also dwarves, though they are technically adopted by Ilúvatar. More on that later. Now, while the Valar settled in Valinor to govern the world, the children awoke in Middle-earth. But while all three races awoke there, the elves were permitted to travel to Valinor, and were in fact urged to do so. Many followed the call, but not all of them, and this is what differentiated the various elven subraces and people. Now, I explain all of this because there is a Valar known as Mandos that is the Valar of Judgment and the Keeper of the Dead. He lives alongside the elves in Valinor, as well as those permitted to stay there for a time. And he has a dwelling known as the Halls of Mandos. Now, the Halls of Mandos are both a resting place and a prison for the spirits of elves that have passed on. The halls themselves are a sort of pocket dimension in a fashion, but also kinda not really. It is a physical place in Valinor, specifically on the northern shores, and it is said to be a series of great caverns, yet it is also said to grow in size as the world ages and as more elven spirits inhabit it. You see, elves, men, dwarves, in fact likely everything in Middle-earth, are made of two parts. The Fea, being the spirit or soul, and the Hroa, being the physical body. In Tolkien's mythology, much like in Christian theology, death is not the end of things. Death is simply the Fea, or spirit, being separated from the Hroa, or body. The body is finite, and eventually fails, either by old age in terms of men and dwarves, or by the blade like elves, or actually really anyone. The Fea, however, is eternal. When the body fails, the Fea of elves are called to the halls of Mandos to dwell. Now, an elf can ignore these summons and haunt the land as wandering spirits, but this is not advisable. The best option for an elven Fea is to enter the halls of Mandos, for it is where they are meant to go. Elves, when there, await the time to when they are granted new bodies, and they can get a sort of reincarnation in a way. Now, that is not necessarily the only goal in the Halls of Mandos. Many elves are traumatized or weary from their long lives, and so their spirits dwell there to rest and recuperate, and the wicked elves are sent there encaged, so they cannot be reborn, at least until the end of the world. Now, the Silmarillion is a written history of the world from an elven perspective. We do not know what happens to the dwarves when they die. They were made by the Valar Aule, or Eul, the Valar of Craft, who wishes to have children to teach. However, this was against Ilúvatar's law, and Aule was not able to breathe life into them. When he repented and apologized to Ilúvatar, he forgave him, meaning Ilúvatar forgave him, and adopted the dwarves, breathing life into them and allowing them to awake alongside elves and men. And while we do not know of their eventual fate, it is believed by the dwarves that their spirits are given a special place in the halls of Mandos until the end of the world, where they, along with Aule, will help remake Arda into a paradise. Now, the trickiest question on the afterlife is for men and hobbits. You see, hobbits are believed to be distant cousins to men, and so likely share the same afterlife. However, the problem is, we don't know where they go. Now, there haven't been many men who have met Valar before, but even those that have could not get any answers from them, because even the Valar do not know. Elves, and likely dwarves, are meant to stay in this world until its ending, but men do not belong in the world. Much like in Christian and even Abrahamic belief, this world is not supposed to be permanent to us. Earth is merely a rest stop for a man's spirit before it continues its journey elsewhere, which is why men wishing for immortality is such a great sin in Tolkien's universe, because it would be like walking into a gas station bathroom and never wanting to leave. This is merely a small part of the plan of the spirits of men, and this has caused some strife between elves and men. You see, men are jealous of elves and their immortality, wishing to live forever, whilst elves are jealous of what they call the gift of death, because men will leave the circles of the world in a relatively short time and go to a place only Eru Ilúvatar knows of, likely a place of bliss and wonder. And even dead elves still dwell in the world, either by going to the halls of Mandos, or refusing the call and haunting the land, and so each believe the other has been supremely blessed by their circumstances. Now, there is a possibility that men go to the Timeless Halls, which is the dwelling place of Eru Ilúvatar himself, the supreme god. It is a place that is so inaccessible, even the Valar do not go there unless invited, being bound to the world like the elves until the end of days. The only one who is known to dwell there is Ilúvatar, in a place where time does not exist, where physical boundaries do not exist unless he wills it. It's heaven, for all intents and purposes, though again, whether men end up there is an open question. The only being other than the Valar that have ever been there was Gandalf, or at least it was hinted that he went there when he died fighting the Balrog. It was said that he passed out of the circles of the world like men's souls, and there are only 2 or 3 places known to be outside of the world. The Void, an endless nothingness where Morgoth was imprisoned, the Timeless Halls, and the potential afterlife of men, if the Timeless Halls are not that. It's unlikely he was in the Void or the afterlife of men, and since Gandalf said he was sent back, it was likely he was revived by Ilúvatar himself in the Timeless Halls and sent back as Gandalf the White. Now, lastly, you'll all likely be wondering about orcs. Well, unfortunately, we don't really know much about that at all. The only thing we know is that the orcs call it the other side, but that's it. We are never given details. We don't know if they are given redemption. We don't know if their spirits are healed and purified, or if they are punished, or even thrown into the endless void. It's unfortunate, but that's the case. The only information we ever get are what orcs themselves believe, which is why we know it's called the other side, and that's only when 2 orcs are discussing what happens if a Nazgul gets a hold of them and tortures them to death. They say something like they'll leave them cold and dark on the other side. Anyway, that's everything I have to say today. I hope you found the answers we could give you satisfactory. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. I appreciate all of you. Remember to like and subscribe. Sharing always helps, and I always welcome your comments. Okay, I'll see you next time. Alright, see ya!